swelling, headache or a rash, asthma, colitis, fatigue, or gas. What will today's symptom be? My loopy life with lupus. Hi guys. So, as you can see, I'm at work. If you haven't seen any videos that I've made before here, that's where I am. I'm at work. Today I just have Annie to look after. It is Margaret's birthday and it's also her preschool graduation. So her mom is going over to the preschool now to the graduation ceremony and all that stuff. And then afterwards they're going to be going out to lunch with one of Maggie's friends for her birthday. They're going to, I didn't even know this existed, guys, but apparently there's a cafe in downtown Toronto that is called the Poop Cafe, and the seats in there are made out of toilets, and they have little mini toilets that are bowls that desserts are served in, and it looks really funny. And then there's like poop emojis everywhere and stuff. So she just thought that it would be funny and like Margaret would get a kick out of it. So Margaret has no idea that they're going there. Like she knows they're going somewhere, but she doesn't know where. So but anyways, as Annie is napping this morning, I thought I would come on and do a little video on a lupus topic that I had been wanting to talk about for a while now. And I had pretty much retired my Loopy Life with Lupus segment because I've pretty much been combining any health updates with my vlogs, and sometimes I'll mention some health updates like in some of my reborn videos. But I figured this is just going to be one specific topic pertaining to lupus, so I'm going to make this a Loopy Life with Lupus segment. And basically the topic is just kind of answering some questions that I got in regards to when I was saying I was re-diagnosed with lupus. I know a lot of people were kind of, I think, getting confused with what that meant or what has been going on. And I think some people thought that it meant I had been going on all these years undiagnosed, when really that wasn't the case. So here is the explanation. Here is what happened in my experience. So I'm gonna go back a little. So 2002 is when we think I had my first lupus flare. Looking back on it, all the things with the hives that we couldn't figure out what was causing them, and they were there night and day, like for months on end. It was the worst year of my life. And I had a whole bunch of other health issues going on at the time. I had shortness of breath, I had chest pains, I had a feeling of bruising on my body. I had even my scalp, like where my hair meets my scalp, like my roots hurt. Bad acid reflux. I mean, it just went on and on. They discovered my heart condition. They discovered my hypothyroidism. So, and I did not know it at the time, but I was able recently, because I signed up online to look at all of my records and test results and everything, and I went way back. And so even back at that time, I was getting a positive ANA. But I guess there wasn't enough other lupus criteria at that time to diagnose me as having lupus, because ANA is not the only thing used to diagnose lupus. ANA means anti-nuclear antibodies that are in your body, and they're usually there when you have lupus or some sort of autoimmune condition. But basically, I guess, like, there's I think a list of 11 criteria for lupus. You have to meet, I believe I read you have to meet 4 or more of those to be diagnosed. And you don't necessarily have to have those symptoms right at that moment, as long as you have had them at some point, is how I understand it. And so, you know, they have to take symptoms and the blood work into account. So anyways, I wasn't diagnosed with it at that point. Then I kind of went into remission after about 1.5 years of that. And I was absolutely fine from like 2003, 4, all the way through until 2009. I was completely fine. The only thing, I just had to take medication for my thyroid condition, and I had to take medication for my heart condition. But other than that, I was fine. I felt 100% normal. I had no symptoms, no pain, nothing. I was great. And then just after our wedding is when the joint pain started and the swelling in my joints started, and it just progressively got worse each month to the point that I thought I was going to end up in a wheelchair. Like, I could not walk. When I would sit down on our couch, I couldn't get back up without Alex helping to lift me. I had to get Alex to help lift me off the toilet. I mean, it was bad. And my family doctor tested me again, and I had an ANA, and so, like, he told me he knew something autoimmune was going on, but they didn't know what. So eventually I was referred to a general internist, who in turn did a whole thorough examination and said that she believed I had mixed connective tissue disease or something similar to that. So she referred me to a new rheumatologist, because I had a rheumatologist from high school when I had juvenile arthritis. And I had gone back to see him at one point a few months after my symptoms started, after we got married. And he wasn't really doing anything proactive for me. He wasn't doing any kind of blood work or lab tests or anything. He just gave me naproxen, and then that didn't work, so he gave me methotrexate, I think, and that didn't really do anything. But I wasn't even informed that methotrexate takes months to work, so I think I gave up on that too soon. But either way, like, he just wasn't getting to, he just assumed it was arthritis coming back. He didn't even test for anything else. So like I said, the general internist sent me to another rheumatologist, and they started me on prednisone in the meantime, which, looking back on it, it was a good thing, but a not so good thing. It was good for me because within taking 2 doses of prednisone, I could move, and I had no pain and I had no swelling. It was a miracle. It was like, oh, hallelujah. Like, I felt back to normal. I had energy. I was like, okay, this is great. But I kind of wish that they hadn't put me on it right away until I saw the rheumatologist, because by then, you know, the rheumatologist wasn't able to see all of my symptoms properly because the meds were helping. So, yeah, so basically, you know, at first, the rheumatologist thought I had rheumatoid arthritis. She did blood work for that, and it came back negative. I had no rheumatoid factor whatsoever. So then she did more blood work, and that's when she said she believes that I have lupus, but she still needed to run a few more tests to confirm. So I had to go back a little while after and have the blood work repeated, and then that's when it was in April of 2010 that she confirmed that I had lupus. So I've known since 2010 that I had lupus. That's what I was told by my rheumatologist. And she was an amazing rheumatologist. She listened to me. She listened to every symptom I was having. She always did the most thorough exam. I mean, she was fantastic. I loved her. I saw her, I think it was for about a year to a year and a half or two, 2010, 2011. Yeah, I think it was a little over a year, maybe almost 2 years. And then she told me she was moving. She had to move. She was moving out of the city. And she told me where she'd be relocating. And she said, if you want, you're more than welcome to come see me there. But it was too far out of the city. I don't drive, so I had no way to be able to go there. So she referred me to another rheumatologist within the same hospital that I was seeing her. And this new rheumatologist was awful. I did not like her bedside manner. She seemed, excuse my language, bitchy a lot of the time. She seemed to brush off a lot of what I was telling her. She wasn't really listening to my issues and my needs. So I was getting irritated with her. So I had heard a lot of things about the lupus clinic at Toronto Western Hospital. I had heard things about it at my support group I was going to, and just different people that attended there raved about this lupus clinic. And then Alex's co-worker, she had a daughter with lupus who was going to the lupus clinic as well. And she raved about it, and she said, your wife really needs to try and get in there because they are fantastic. So I said, okay. So I looked into it, I read up on it, and it said you could either go there exclusively and have that be your main doctor, or you can have it in conjunction with your regular rheumatologist. So I started out, I got a referral from my family doctor to the lupus clinic. And I got in pretty fast. I was surprised. And so what we used to do was I would go to the lupus clinic, and then in 3 months' time, I would go to the rheumatologist at the other hospital. And then 3 months later, I'd go back to the lupus clinic. And I did that for a while. And as I dealt with each place, I started to feel like I felt more comfortable with the lupus clinic. I felt they were being a little more proactive for me and listening to me better. So I ended up dropping the rheumatologist that my original rheumatologist had referred me to, and just stuck with the lupus clinic. So once I did that, you know, I have to say, I have mixed emotions on the lupus clinic. So basically what happened is, from the very beginning that I started going there, they started to question the diagnosis. They said they were not 100% sure if lupus was the correct diagnosis. And they just said, because they hadn't seen me at my worst, they hadn't seen me. So all they had to go by were my records and reports and tests and results and things like that. And so this went on for quite a few years. I believe I first went to the lupus clinic in 2012, I believe it was. So I've been seeing them since 2012. And this whole time it's been, every time I go in, you know, they help me in terms of giving me treatments that help, and like they're proactive in trying to get things settled. But the whole time it was like, okay, we're almost 100% sure you have lupus. Oh, now, I don't know. We're not that sure. So every time I went, it was very back and forth for all these years. And I couldn't figure out why, because they kept saying I wasn't meeting all the criteria. Yeah, I looked at the criteria online and went down the whole list, and I had more than 4 things on there. So I was like, I don't get it. Why are they not agreeing, like not 100% sure this is the right diagnosis? It didn't make sense, because I had kidney issues in 2010 when I was first diagnosed. But then they said, well, the kidney specialist never did a biopsy to confirm that it was a lupus-related kidney issue. And from what we can see with the test results you had of your kidney problems, they were very minor. So they didn't know if they wanted to say that that was lupus nephritis, even though my kidney specialist wrote it down as lupus nephritis. They were like, really, she couldn't confirm it, really, because there was no biopsy done. But I was like, okay, well, I had the kidney issues. I had the joint pain and the swelling. I have the fatigue. I have dry eyes, dry mouth. I ended up having pericarditis in the summer of 2013, which is another thing that happens with lupus. I had the autoimmune colitis. I mean, there were so many things. And I just didn't understand it. And so finally, as you guys know, as I said, what was it, last month, 2 months ago now, when I went to the lupus clinic, they finally, now that these, I guess these lung issues I had were what confirmed it up for them, because now they realize the lung issues, it's something that's seen in lupus. So that might have been like the last piece they needed. So they have now said, yes, we agree with the diagnosis. You definitely have lupus. So it's just been a roller coaster, because it's like, to have been diagnosed with it in 2010, and then since 2012 it's been questioned, and it's like, oh, you do, oh, you don't, you do, you don't. Like, it was very frustrating, but they've still treated me like I had lupus all along, because they knew it was something autoimmune, and the treatments for autoimmune illnesses are all generally, like, they use the same kind of medications. But now I'm confirmed. So at their clinic, when you are finally a confirmed lupus patient, you get a specific type of file, and you know, that class of, like, basically now you're on paper as having lupus. So it's a relief to finally have all that sorted out, because I knew all along that's what it was. I did not doubt the first rheumatologist I saw. She was a fantastic doctor, and she helped me so much. So I knew that I could trust her when she said I had lupus. I knew that she knew it. And she went back in my history, and she saw the things like the chronic hives, which she said can happen with lupus as well. So she took that into consideration, and like, she took everything. So it's unfortunate that I couldn't continue to see her, because in all honesty, I would have preferred to just stick with her, because I feel like she's very thorough. And so it's unfortunate that that's how it had to happen. But now at least I am in a place that specializes with lupus, and they've now finally got it down on paper that I have lupus. So now hopefully that means even better treatment options, because you know, there is a drug that came out a few years ago. It was the first ever drug created specifically for lupus. It's a very expensive drug. It's an IV infusion that you would have every month. I don't know if that will now be opened as an option to me to try it. It's called Benlysta. I don't know if that might end up being something they might consider at some point, but they probably wouldn't have considered it before when they were iffy on whether the diagnosis was correct. So I'm happy that, you know, that's open. So yeah, so that's basically why I said I was like re-diagnosed, because it wasn't really re-diagnosed. It was more or less just reconfirming the diagnosis. But I've pretty much, you know, like I said, I was diagnosed in 2010 and it's pretty much been that way the whole time. And I knew it was correct, but it's just been frustrating getting the new doctors to agree with it, but they finally did. So at least we know what's going on there. So yeah, so that's that story. I thought I would come on and share it with you in this episode of Loopy Life with Lupus. And in the next video, I have another video I want to talk about lupus related topics, because I know I do have some lupus patients that watch me, and I know that they were kind of sad when I stopped making these like videos specifically geared toward lupus and lupus topics. So I'm going to try to do some of those a little bit more, even if I can do like 1 or 2 of those per month. But my hand is getting tired from holding my camera up. I probably should have brought my tripod. That would have been a lot easier. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And the next video I'm going to do is I want to talk about what I don't particularly like about the lupus clinic that I now attend. Like what I do like and what I don't like. That's the plan for the next topic. So stay tuned for that. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to click the subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.